So today I have a very interesting guest with us for Pathway Presents. I'm here with Christine MacKay, and she is heading up, and she's the founder and CEO of Salamandra. And Salamandra is a very interesting animation studio. If you actually head over to the website, salamandra.uk, you can actually get to see it by yourself. There's a lot of great examples on the page of what the team is capable of. It's an animation agency, and they are basically experts in creating visual B2B stories. And since we have a lot of B2B conversations here, we're talking a lot about B2B websites. I think the element of B2B storytelling is really a great element to the Pathway Presents show. So Christine, I'm pleased to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Lucas, and thank you for having me on board. And delighted to tell you a bit more about Salamandra.uk. As you mentioned, it is a animation agency, and we've got studios in Eton and Dundee, so in England and Scotland. And primarily we work with B2B clients. We also do some entertainment work and some gaming work, so kind of across a few industries, so to speak.
Very cool. Maybe you were actually bringing up the types of clients there. Like, what would be sort of a typical company and a typical request that would be coming in? Like, what would be sort of a typical work that somebody starts with Salamandra?
Well, I have to say that no 2 days are the same at Salamandra UK, and we work in about 18 different industries, so it's really quite varied. But I'd say probably the most frequent request is to do a corporate explainer, although we also do things like children's book illustrations and animations. We've been award-winning in that side of things as well. But corporate explainers, training videos, immersive virtual presentations, that sort of thing is very, very popular, particularly now that people are working a lot more remotely and there isn't the face-to-face that we had the luxury of previously.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Who would you say is typically sort of, the champion within the companies to bring Salamandra in? Is it like is it in the marketing department? Is it even CEOs of smaller businesses? Like, who would be typically saying, hey, I need that support to bring a story to life?
I think it's a mixture. I think you hit the head on the nail with regards to the business owners, entrepreneurs, also anybody in the marketing department, digital marketeers, digital directors, but also HR departments if they've got induction or health and safety things that they need to explain, engineers if they've got, for example, remote working or underwater sort of engineering they need to show. There's lots of different applications for animation, for either because you can't be there yourself, or if it's something abstract like a financial product that can't be explained that easily in words, but is so much easier to explain in images, and those images can be photorealistic or completely abstract. We also find that for example, we've worked with very sensitive subjects or taboo subjects, and animation can be genderless and culturaless, and can be much more acceptable for these difficult subjects.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That is super interesting. Maybe just to wrap up that summary about the company, like what would characterize the team at Salamandra? What would you say? Like, is it, maybe you could tell us a little bit how long you guys have been around, something that, what would you say is characteristic for the team?
I'd say that we've got a very strong business culture, and the most important thing is that we're very collaborative, and we're also collaborative not only internally within our team, but also with our clients. We take them along the entire journey. It's not like that we work in the dark and then present them with the project at the end. It's very collaborative. I'd say that we're very accepting and supportive environment, and it's quite a close-knit team. We're employing our second lockdown person next month, so we've continued to grow despite COVID. So I guess it's just the fact that we are very supportive, friendly. We have a lot of fun. We laugh a lot. We work really hard, but we also laugh a lot. So it's having that mixture, I think, is cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, you brought up that you guys are growing, and even in this current circumstances, what would you say is sort of like the typical journey of somebody getting started with Salamandra? Maybe what would be the typical channels that somebody would get to know you guys and then getting started?
As in to come and work for us, or once they've come to work with us?
To become a client, like, what would be sort of, I have you guys figured out like different digital channels to grow? Is it, referral? Like how do you
Gosh,
have, found your...
I'd say, so pre-COVID, I already did lots and lots of networking and speaking opportunities, those kinds of things. We still do that, but digitally. And we do a lot of work on social media, for example, LinkedIn and all the other various ones like Twitter and Facebook. But I'd say LinkedIn is probably our most biggest focus. And what else we do? We're very lucky to get referrals from existing or past clients and people who've worked with us, which is fantastic. And we have done pay-per-click advertising on various platforms. We obviously keep our website up to date. We share our work. We share other work that we like from other agencies or other campaigns. We think it's great to support other businesses and other creatives. It's such an exciting world to be in. We're very lucky to be working in animation, so very grateful for that. But really, all sorts of different ways of spreading the news of how we work and who we are, and clients come to us and from all those different avenues.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I think you guys even have an unfair advantage a little bit on Twitter by being able to drop your own little animations in there. That's pretty cool.
What can I say?
Very good. Very good. You brought up the website. As I mentioned before, we talk a lot about websites on the Pathfinder Presents podcast. Like, what role would you attribute to the website in terms of client acquisition? What role does it play in that orchestra of winning new clients?
I do think that a website is vital to any business, and particularly more so now, more than ever. It is your shop window. It's the first thing people do. They check you out on social media and your website. And if that's credible and it's got what they want and it's easy to find and they like what they see, then I think that is the best way, quickest way to get anybody who hasn't come from any of the other avenues to get in touch with you. And really, you need to make it as easy as possible, the fewer clicks and the fewer steps possible to enable them to E, find what they want, and B, contact you if they like what they see.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Obviously, the founders and the CEOs, they always have like a very critical eye on the website, maybe sometimes a little bit different than what the marketers are thinking about the website. Like, where do you see the strength of the website at the moment?
Websites generally, or
your website, your own website.
Our website. I think our website reflects who we are. It's quite joyous, it's fun, but it's still very professional, and the caliber of animation and the work we do is really high. So it's quite lovely when we get feedback from clients or potential clients who've gone on our website and then who've worked with us and said, "Oh, it's such a good reflection of your culture and what it's like to work with you guys." And in fact, we had one colleague of ours, somebody who comes to speak at our meetup groups, who said that he loved our old website. We've recently redone it. I think it was in December that we put the new website in. And he said he was really worried if we were going to upgrade it, that it would lose some of that friendly joyousness that we had before. And he was the first one to come back to us and said, absolutely love the website and love our mascot, Sal, who's all over the website as well, and so brings fun and showcases what we can do as well throughout. So that was lovely to hear that feedback.
Very good. Yeah, Sal was just having a little dance there behind you right now.
He does a little samba to keep you amused.
Very, very good. Okay. On the flip side, though, where do you see room for improvement, right? Because sometimes, we talk about ability, to convert leads that are coming to the website, or the quality of the leads that are generated, or maybe something else. Like, where do you see room for improvement for the website, since you actually recently redone it?
Well, obviously, having no leakage of anybody who does come onto the website would be fantastic, knowing that there is follow-up on any potential lead. Mm-hmm. What we did find in the past is we have used programs in the past which gave us leads as to who came to our website, but quite often it would be either recruitment companies or university students looking for placements and that kind of stuff. So, and a lot of the platforms don't give you too much information because of GDPR, so you can't pinpoint the person, or even sometimes the department, or even sometimes you can, I think, pinpoint the geography. So so a solution that bypasses that would be fantastic, where you can actually pinpoint the person and then have a proper conversation instead of doing some detective work to find out who it was who came on
Makes
your
a lot of
website.
sense. Makes a ton of sense, especially these days where everybody's working from home.
Yes, indeed.
Very good, very good. Coming back to your services, right? For everybody who's listening in, what would you say would be sort of the main competitive advantage when somebody decides to go with Salamandra UK?
Well, we're very agile. We've got a very high caliber of skills. We are not the cheapest in the market and don't want to be, but we're certainly nowhere near the most expensive. And we really listen to our clients. We get under the skin of their business, really understand what they do, and then we ask lots and lots of questions. Our briefing process is quite robust, and we go and do some desktop research on that company, their competitors, the industry, before we come back with any suggestions, and to understand who their target audiences are, because there's usually more than one, and what their pain points might be, what the call to action needs to be, etc. So that it's a very joined up piece, and that asset can be repurposed in lots of different ways. And we wear our business hats as well as our creative hats on every project. And we know that every marketing spend is finite, and it has to have some kind of ROI. So we try and tick as many boxes as possible and make recommendations on how to repurpose whatever we've created. For example, if we've created, say, a 60-second corporate explainer, we might recommend that a client should extract certain elements, which if we know in advance, we can create it in that way so that it's easily extractable, that can then be used for social media or can be used for electronic articles or white papers with headings on specific topics, so that we can really repurpose that asset and make it really work for you. And the same with if we do animated presentations, for example, we can repurpose those assets that we create for clients and put them into other presentations or other mediums or social media, etc. So it's all about making the best out of any project and really make it work for you. But I guess it's really the fact that we're very agile, we move very fast. People are always very surprised how quickly we can turn things around at the standard that we do.
Cool, very cool. That really gives sort of an insight into how you guys are working. Super, super interesting. I would love to switch gears a little bit, right, and learn about you as a leader in the business. So what I would be curious about is, right, if you're sort of going out there and trying to educate yourself further on a particular topic, right, like how would you do so? Is there like typical, communities that you go, certain books that you read? Like what is your go-to way in order to educate yourself further?
Wow, there's so many different ways. I belong to actually quite a number of associations, whether they be industry, agency specific or business specific, from chambers to private clubs and all sorts of things. I'm on the internet all the time. I get loads and loads of newsletters of stuff that really interests me, and it can be quite a variety. I'm a naturally very curious person and very easily bored, so I constantly have to have new stuff to feed that curiosity. So I guess the internet and talking to people, I love meeting people and talking to people, hearing their stories and hearing how they overcome certain challenges or exciting projects they're working on. I'm the kind of person who, if somebody's got a whole bunch of photographs to go through, I'd be quite keen to look at them, even if I don't know anybody. So it's quite, I'm curious in stories and what makes humans tick. In fact, for me, one of the things that's most important about Salamandra UK is actually my incredible team and the sort of camaraderie that we've built up, and that's really important to me. And I think if you treat your people well and work as a team, then I think it makes you a much happier place to be in, and makes you a happier sort of business leader as well. Just bringing it back to being human, I guess. But I hope that answers your question. I think I went off tangent.
No, it does. No, it does. No, it really does. Since we're slowly coming to an end of the interview already, I would love to jump into our rapid fire questions. They're a little bit of a surprise for our guests, but everybody survived so far. Are you ready? Are you ready for those?
Righty, here, go on.
Very good. What's the last book that you read?
The last book that I read, oh my gosh, is it's a French book called Ségou, which is about West Africa, and it's an epic book about the tribes in West Africa, the warring went on, and how some of the tribes went off into slavery to the West Indies, Brazil, and then came back, which is something I didn't know. They came back to West Africa, a lot of Brazilians, and anyway, it's fantastic. But I read a mixture of sort of fiction and non-fiction. So I'm also reading a book at the moment written by a very top colonel in the American Army about how your what's the word? It's not grit, but it's part of your personality. How that's very important in leadership and a character. That's the word. So how your character and all the elements of your character are very important in leadership. And if you've got flaws in your character, then it will absolutely affect your leadership and will mean that although you will be able to do certain things well for some of the time, it won't be a continuous thing. So that was fantastic. And that was after a talk I listened to. That's another thing I do in the evenings, is listen to really interesting talks from all walks of life. There's a great thing called How To, if anybody wants to have a look at that. And they have amazing speakers from Bill Gates to Isabel Allende. It really is fantastic. So I just feed my brain with lots and lots of different bits of information, and I think that's what keeps you creative.
Very cool. Do you have the title for our listeners of the book that you mentioned on the Colonel from the Army?
I do. Hang on, I've got it on Audible. Let me just get it for you. It is The Character Edge.
Okay, very cool.
It's very good.
Very good. Next question. What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Keeping our clients happy and delighting them with the work that we do is topmost of our minds, and we get an absolute kick out of what we do. Honestly, it's such fun. The bigger the challenge, the more fun it is to actually create something for clients. We had, for example, a client who had a very complicated product in finance, and the first animation we did for them, they were a little bit reticent because they hadn't used animation, and they were going, well, we're not quite sure that you really grasp what we do, and we worry that it'll be too cartoony and not serious enough. Whereas we can do any style that you like. It doesn't have to be cartoony at all. But one of the elements was talking about. So it's at the IFA level, so it's quite complicated language. But we added a bit of humanity in there, where there's talks about old age, and there's a chap who sits down in a wheelchair, and we added a little squeak in there when he sat down, just to kind of bring it, although we didn't take away from any of the seriousness of the actual piece itself, it just brought a little tiny bit of human, a bit of humanity into that piece. So we always try and remember that we're talking to people. I mean, it's B2B, but it's actually H2H, isn't it? Human to human. So we get a real kick out of that.
Very cool. Actually, I also love that H2H reference there. Pretty good. If there would be no boundaries in technology, what's the one thing that you wanted to have fixed for your company today?
Wow. To be able to do a lot more 3D that comes out of the screen. We work a lot in AR and VR at the moment, but to really take that to the next level, so that you don't need any equipment to see it. That would just come out of your screen. That would be incredible.
What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
That everybody's happy and motivated, and yeah, that's about it.
Very good. Very last question. If today would be your very first day, you're starting your work on Salamandra UK, right? It's fresh, blank slate. What's the one advice that you would give yourself?
Be bolder and think bigger.
Very good. Christine, I really appreciate that you took the time with us to be a part of Pathmonk Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting everything that we just discussed about Salamandra, what would be the one thing that they should remember?
Well, visit us at salamandra.uk, or go to or follow us on LinkedIn, even better, or link up with me. We're a very friendly bunch, so if you link up or connect with us, we're sure to connect back and have a chat. But yes, have a look at some of our work, and hopefully we can help you with some of your visual communications.
Thanks for being part of the show.
Thanks, Lucas. It's been great.